Hi, everyone. I'm putting this video out there for a friend of mine, and it is based on a video that I did back in early 2018 called Fly to Forrest Fenn's Treasure. A lot of people have seen it. I think about 3,500 people have watched it. I sent it to my friend, but it doesn't really have a lot of solved detail in there. So I went back through my archives and I pulled out some information that I can supply for him because he's currently looking at the Lander area, and I wanted to show him the solve that I had sent Forrest Fenn back in 2017. This was a year before I made the video. Since I already checked these spots in 2018, I decided to come out with the video, but I really didn't detail the solve in case I wanted to go back to Lander. But since the chase is over, I'll do it now. And I think a lot of you will find it interesting. So instead of sending a private link to him, I decided to make a video out of it and for all of you to see. And what I'm going to do is right up here, actually over here, what I'm going to do is right up here, there should be a pop up card, and I'll link to the video that I'm talking about. And I'll also put that link down in the description in case you want to go see my older video. It's got a lot of real cool information in there. I'm sure you're going to like it. And by the way, the friend of mine that I'm making this for is Bob, and you'll remember Bob from my previous videos. He is the ex-military Navy guy. That was the one that sent the PayPal donation. I've kind of become friends with him. He's a really nice guy, so I decided to do this for him. So I had to go through backups that I have. I have like probably 100 gigabytes of data, and I can't even fit it on a single DVD. So it's really a pain. And also, a lot of my backups are off-site in the bank in a vault. For off-site insurance purposes, I keep the stuff that's on my network backed up off-site. So anyway, for all that work, Bob, you owe me a beer, man. That's all I want to say. So anyway, here, enjoy, and I hope that this provides a little bit more information for you and anybody else that happens to be looking near Lander. As you guys know, I spent an awful lot of time there. I would say from 2015 to 2017, I spent so much time there that I got to know the locals. And it's funny because other searchers have obviously been there, but one of the locals, I'm not going to mention who, but he's also an ex-military man that lives in Lander. Um, he sent me a lot of information back in the day, and it's cool because when Toby went there with Shelly, I actually got an email from him. He's like, "Yo, there's some fat guy around here poking around in your area," and I kind of just laughed and I said, "Yeah, don't worry about him. He's not going to find anything because he doesn't really look up here and stuff." So he said, "Yeah, he was hanging around down by the museum in Lander. I guess he wanted to talk to them or something." And I'm like, "Well, I know some of the people in the museum, and they probably don't want to talk to him." Anyway, sorry about that, Toby, but life goes on. Let me go over this for you really, really quickly. I don't want to waste a lot of time on it. And after I show the brief thing up front, so that Bob could take a look at it, and any of you, I'm going to go through kind of a slideshow. I've got a lot of interesting images up in this area that you'll probably enjoy taking a look at, and I want to discuss them as I go through them. But I don't want to waste too much time because you can refer back to my other video. This whole entire solution didn't involve doing anything to the poem. It was probably about as straightforward as you can get. And what I did is I was treating the poem as if he was taking you on a flight, just like the flight that he describes in Moby Dickens, where he talks about flying into Lander, landing, meeting a 16-year-old boy, going up fishing up by the Proposia River, the middle Proposia River. And it's funny because he makes two mistakes. He calls it, first of all, the little Proposia, the little river. It's not the little. He goes, who would not want to see the little Popoaggie River? Well, he's wrong because it's not the little Popoaggie River. We have a river that comes up here called the North Fork of the Proposia, and then we have the Middle Fork of the Proposia, and this way down here is the Little Proposia River. And I joked with Forrest about that. I'm like, you know the name of that. I mean, if you go to Lander and you call it the Popo Aggie, they're probably going to rip you apart and immediately correct you and tell you that it's the Proposia River. Forrest Fenn would know something like that, right? It's funny, but anyway, he's talking, and he also said that his granddaughters, he would pay their way to college if they open up a shingle or a little shop and they provide health care to the locals in a small town like Lander. And now another friend of mine from the search, she's been searching since 2011. She told me that might be a hint that he misspelled it. And I wasn't aware of this. But in Texas, when somebody's down and out of their job, things aren't looking that good, kind of like the person that Forrest Fenn said that he designed this chase for, it was, what they call in Texas a poor Aggie. Like if you're in Texas and somebody goes, man, I just lost my job, my kids, my bills are due, and they'll look at you and they'll go, oh, you poor Aggie. So maybe when he said Popoaggie River, he was kind of hinting that. I don't know. But a lot of people have searched in this area, not just me. Like I said, that lady had searched here. I think Digging Gypsy searched here. A lot of people over the years. But I spent 3 years here, and I wanted to make a solve that was as simple as possible. It didn't have any require any research, and it was a flight. And basically, what it was when you're landing here and you're in VFR using visual flight rules, you're probably going to begin your descent roughly 10 miles out. So this yellow line is roughly 10 miles out. And what's there is the waterfalls, all right? And kids go here and they slide down the rocks, okay? Kind of like Forrest describes in the book. But anyway, if you listen to the poem, he's flying over where warm water salt, and then he's taking it in the canyon down, and he puts it in below the Homa Brown. This is Lander Airport. This green line is exactly 180 degrees north, and it points right to the historical Camp Brown marker, the Camp Aguar marker. So you were literally putting in below the Homa Brown. And then if you read the poem, of course, it's no place for the meek. Right next to it, there's a rodeo. And also, you're landing. So the runway is going by. You're looking quickly down. If you don't land quick enough, you'll end up going over the road into a graveyard that's over here. No place for the meek, I suppose. I was thinking at the time. I don't remember all the details because, like I said, I have so much stuff offline. So all I did is I tried to grab some of the stuff. So let me go into Google Earth first, just really quickly show you this. So basically, what it was our that 10-mile line started out right around here, the Popoaggie Falls swim hole. All the locals go here. You can see pictures of people sliding down rocks and swimming. Basically, they do that in the late summer when the river isn't running that high, because this river gets pretty nasty before during the spring runoff. It's so much so that down at the sink, it can't even handle the amount of water, so it spills over into a runoff area, and it goes down along here on this side of the river, and then it finally meets with the water that went through the underground tunnels, comes up the rise. It meets that, and then it takes it, and of course the river itself puts in below the Homa Brown into the town of Lander, and then it goes out to here where it meets the North Fork. And then it becomes the Big Proposia River. It takes the Big Proposia River down to here in Hudson, where it meets up with the Little Proposia. And then it goes down to the Little Wind River. And then from this point on, it becomes the Wind River because it meets the Wind River. And then, of course, from there, it goes past Riverton. It goes up past Shoshone through the reservoir, over the dam in Thermopolis. And then it's renamed the Bighorn River as soon as it goes past Wedding of the Waters. So the solve, just really quick, basically works like this. Warm waters halts at the rise. This water never freezes, okay, all year long. And yeah, this is a long time ago. So this is also a brown trout spawning point. They come up the river. They can't go any further than here. And there's a massive amount of fish here. And of course, you can't fish there. They got signs, no fishing, but it's a spawning point. It the water that enters the sink, just briefly, you could research this yourself. It takes between, well, first of all, this is only roughly 1.25 mile distance above the ground. But when the water enters here at a high speed, it takes a minimum of 2 hours for it to come out down here. And not only does it take 2 hours, the water that comes out of here, if I remember correctly, is 12 degrees warmer than when it enters. So we have warm water halt. And all the stuff I'm telling you is described on site. This is kind of like a national monument, okay? And they have signs up here and a ranger station, and they have signs down here. You can learn all of that stuff, right? So this is where warm water's halt, and you're basically following the water down here, okay, into where it puts in below lander, just like where we landed. However, when you land in my solution, by the rodeo grounds are here. When you put in here, see, when you put in a plane lands between these two lines and these lines, that's where it'll land. So the put in would be roughly somewhere in the middle of here. Okay, which again is below no pace for the meek, which is below this historical marker. All right. If you go down on a road here, by picking this guy up and dropping him, flip the camera around, you'll see a street shot of the side of the college wall where the marker is. That is the exact historical place. And while I'm here, I'm going to show you other things in that video that I'm going to link up, that I'm going to put a card up here for. I discussed this war memorial in that video, and it's very, very, very interesting. I really suggest you watch it. I was talking about it to the people up in Jackson Hole at the hotel like 2 o'clock in the morning when I went to Wyoming. And the other thing I want to mention in that video, I talk about Clarence Clayton Danks. You know the horse that's the symbol of Wyoming with the guy that's riding it? Well, there's a big controversy when you talk to the locals. Some people believe it was Clayton Clarence Danks that was riding that famous horse when they made the icon. And some people say it was Buffalo Bill. You come around here, they're going to tell you it was Clayton Danks. Clayton Danks was famous in the rodeo, and he rode the famous horse that was used to make the symbol for Wyoming. Okay. That horse is actually buried in Colorado. Clarence Danks himself is buried exactly where this point is. His grave is literally under the trees here. There's quite a few famous people buried here, believe it or not. One thing about this rodeo grounds that I don't know if I mentioned in the other video, it's famous because back in the day when Forrest would come here with his family when he was young, this was the first paid, quote unquote, rodeo. That's where they occurred, right here, back in that day, paid. They had rodeos elsewhere, but this is the first paid one. And if Forrest's parents wanted to go to Yellowstone, they didn't have to go the normal route past Cody. They also could have went right up here. Okay, you go up 287 and you enter from the south of Yellowstone here. That's how you would get in there. So anyway, I describe a lot of that stuff, and there's so many hints to this area. It's just unreal. But the poem was very straightforward. Literally, you fly down there, you put in below the home of Brown. But here's the thing: when you get out of the plane, it's actually telling you to head back up to water high and heavy loads. So this is where Warner's Halt. Basically, what you do is you come back up here, and heavy loads and water high is going to take you past the sink. Now remember, that's the source, right? So we go past the sink, and in our solve, we go to Bruce's Bridge, and we park here. Okay, and then there's a trail that you follow up here, and it's not too difficult of a trail, to be honest with you. It's long. It can be done. Fishermen do it all the time. Bob was up here, and he actually seen an elder fisherman, and he waved to him somewhere on this trail as he was going up here fishing. All right. So it is possible. As a matter of fact, in my solve, and also Bob, imagine that Forrest sets a tackle box, something like that. It's easy for him to hide the gold and then make this walk with a fishing pole. Nobody would question it, right? Here's an old man carrying a fishing pole. It's normal. People will go up there fishing. Okay. And like I said, over here, I'll show you a picture of it later. You can also go on this trail, and this trail leads up, by the Circa Towers, up to the glaciers, basically up to the peaks of the Wind River Mountains. So anybody that's a rock climber would use this trail. Anybody that's a serious hiker would use that trail. So our solve was not here when we finished it. Our solve was actually right here. Okay. And just to briefly explain it, let me mention something else. Over here is a reservoir called the Northern Meadow Reservoir. During spring runoff, they collect all the water in here. Okay. And then what happens, they also collect it here. But this outlet goes to a different way in addition to where this one goes. Okay. So I think they're used for two different purposes. I don't know. But basically, when this river is running low, the lander folks will come up here and open up the floodgates, and then they're ever drawing nigh, right? They're taking water down there because water is lifeblood. You need the water. From here, when it's going down, when they open up the gates, there's a roaring fork creek, right? So in my south, it's like listen all and hear me good. It's a roaring creek, right? Remember, this is trying to keep it really simple using the old let's find synonymous names with a map. This is not modifying anything, no research or nothing like that. But so this creek, you can see it's basically a dry creek for the most part. It's all rocks, all right? And what happens is if you follow it down, it goes right to here and it meets the middle Proposia River. And if you look like here, because it's currently dry, it's all rocks. So if you think about it, when you're coming up here, there'll be no paddle up your creek, just heavy loads and water high. And like I said, so hear me all, listen good, we're in Fork Creek. But he's telling you, don't go up here, okay? It's heavy loads and water high. Water high is the reservoir. Now, Forrest Fenn said that where Warmer's Halt can't be a dam. And obviously, every reservoir has a dam. But he didn't say anything about water high. So for us, that was water high, right? So we were looking all along this. But since he told us not to go up there, he's describing what's up there. There's heavy loads and water high up there. We don't go there. So just to put it simple, what we did for our solve is we ended up right around here. You'll see this kind of looks like an island. And if you really look in, there's huge rocks. There's one on this side this is probably the size of a truck. I mean, this thing is not going anywhere. So we figured he could have put the blaze on there and hit it behind it. The same thing with the rocks on the other side, okay, on over here. Or he could have hit it on this island, and he expected if what does it say? He said your effort will be worth the cold. So maybe, and during the August and stuff, you could ford this river. It's running low. I mean, there's fishermen standing in there fishing. It's a very, very popular trout fishing spot up here. Okay. And this is of course in the Shoshone National Forest. So it's not protected lands or anything like that. Now, if you look on this side, there's no human trail within close proximity of that place. But the way you would get there is you could follow the river, I guess, and come up that way. My partner actually did that. I'll show you where, but somewhere in these trees, there's a very old teepee that there's actually a picture of it on Google Earth. But my partner went there and he took real pictures of it. Luckily, he went this way. But another way that you can go there is, like I said, instead of coming up this way here, and we got a picture of this too that my partner took, you would go this way where the rock climbers go. But the thing is, you would follow that. You'll notice that trail does not come down and meet or even get close to the Proposia River until around here. Okay. So there is no close proximity trail here. My partner actually went up in case Forrest was describing coming in and following it down. He actually came in this way. But my partner's a big and strong guy, and after he got down close to it, he said there's no way that Forrest Fenn would have went on this side. It's just too much. It's too far, and it's pretty steep to try to carry heavy loads up there. Okay, it's hard enough coming up here, but coming down here, it's hard. It's pretty dangerous. We just don't think he did it. Okay. But that's pretty much the saw, Bob. Now I'm indicating things here I'm going to show you guys later. And by the way, Roaring Creek starts right up here, where the main passages that the trappers would use, and then it comes down Roaring Fork Creek, and then of course it enters where the drainage would enter here, and that's where the water is water high, right? The other thing I want to point out is I'm going to show you a picture later of tree stumps that looks awful like the book, but I want to show you that. And it's right on the side of this road. Toby didn't notice it, of how you would get to Northern Meadows Camp. The other thing I want to show you is right here. Okay. This is a youth camp, and it's kind of like a summer camp right now. And my partner's daughter actually goes there, and his kids go there, and they swim and canoe and all of that. Of course, they go down here, and then they ride the rocks. It's a pretty popular summer place for locals. But this road, once you cross Bruce's Bridge, is called Forest Road 23. Okay, and Forest Road 23 goes all the way from there, and then it comes out down here by Atlantic City. Okay. Here's the deal though. Up until May 30th, and you've heard this before, it's closed here. There's a fence. You can't go up here. Okay. It's closed. So there's really no easy way to get to Louis Lake or any of this way up from that way. And here's the headwaters from the little Proposia River. Here's Louis Lake. Here's I guess that's called Proposia Camp. But anyway, you'll see Lewis Lake Road, which is FSR 23, goes all the way over here. And right here, there's another gate. Okay. So you can't go on this road anywhere from there to Atlantic City. There's no passage while it snows, because the water and the snow is up here for a pretty long time. We're at almost 9,000 feet over here. But what they do is this road is open, so you can go here to get to this camp. So this road existed in the 1930s. Of course, it was probably a dirt road back then. And also the bridge was much different back then. So Forrest's family could have went up this road. They could have went camping. But one of the things I emailed Forrest, I said, since he was a bad kid, you younger people need to understand something. In the 30s, if you did some of the things that Forrest did, and certainly if your father was a principal in school and you embarrassed him, he would tan your hide. Forrest even talks about that. But not only that, one thing that was popular in his day was to send bad boys like that to a youth camp. And that's how this started out, as a youth camp. And initially, the only building that was there was this. And I'm going to show you a picture of it. This is a mess hall and a kitchen. And when you look at it and read it, it kind of reminded me of Frosty and Forrest working at the Totem Cafe. Okay. But what he's really telling you is he was here. Either he ran away from his parents and Skippy really didn't kick him out of the car. He ran away. I mean, think about this. If you read about him in Yellowstone, he doesn't really sound too happy. I mean, the poor kid was working 12 hours in a cafe and delivering heavy newspaper bags. When did he have time to have fun? So I joked with Forrest and I said, your father probably put you here, you ran away. Of course, Forrest didn't reply to any of that because I was also describing my solution here to him. But that was all the things that led me up here. And you'll find it interesting. This is the first building, and it was moved here. So again, this road existed back then. The bridge was destroyed. So you now eat the one Hemingway where they blew up the bridge. They actually did that here. And also, They did a lot of explosions up here, all around here, because that's how they quarried the rock that they used down in Lander to build Lander back before it was Lander, when it was Camp Brown. They came up here. And also, and a lot of you noticed already, there was a power plant down here. And they would take the water from here and they would use it to run the generators at the power plant. And that's how they had power in Lander back in those early days. You could still find remnants of that place up here. Okay. There's a lot of stuff. So check out my other video. Let me jump over to the pictures really quick. Okay, here's this small diagram of that area, and I drew this just to calculate how much area that is. Okay, and then here's Roaring Fork Creek. This is 400 square feet where this boulder is. I measured a polygon over there. And like I said, here's that island. And I was drawing circles. This is basically something I made for my partner when he went here. And then he also was up around this area. He went there late in August, and the river could, it runs fast, but there are fishermen and stuff that go in here. Okay. So let me show a couple of more pictures. Okay, here's the front of that building, and this is the way it looked in 2017. This kitchen, this is the first building, and it's building number 13. It's the first one. So you can imagine Forrest, if he worked in a totem cafe, and this was really an area like that, and here's the loading docks, and he would come out and go by the tree out here that's on the side to eat the pie and so on and so forth. And remember, I mentioned this stuff to Forrest, and hopefully he never got mad. But I was basing this on what I was getting out of, the thrill of the chase at the time. This is just a detailed map of the overall area that shows what kind of property it is. And if you look, you'll see like here, this is a Sinks Canyon State Park. All right, the Sink and the Rise. But once you get out here, you're in the Shoshone National Forest. Once you get into the darker green, you're in the wilderness. Now, obviously, we wouldn't believe. Now, to get in the wilderness, there's only two paths. One of them is the path I'm talking about over here. This path here, the Middle Fork path, that's the one we went on over Brewster Bridge and somewhere around here. Okay. And then the other trail that you would take is right by where the Meadow that leads you up there. It goes over a place called Sheep Bridge. That's really the only way to go to the wilderness, and all of the major hikers would go that way. We would not look in any place that crossed this boundary because I don't believe Forrest would send people into the wilderness. So anywhere we looked had to be within this boundary, basically, and also anywhere along this road at the time, over by Louis Lake and so on and so forth. Okay, this is what it would look like if you're on Louis Lake Road. Here's where they block it. Okay, but if you made a right over here, you would end up going to. Actually, I'm looking the opposite way here. This is the road that leads to the campsite, and right on the corner of that road over here, I want to show you something interesting. But this is Louis Lake Road. This is closed, and up until the end of May. All right. The only thing you can do is go up in this area prior to that, because they do have winter ice skating and stuff like that for the locals up there at the youth camp. This is roughly what the water looks like where our solve was. I'm pretty sure. My partner's not here, so I know, but I think that the river's going down this way. The creek would be somewhere over here. He's kind of looking when he was there. And I think this was the beginning of August. I don't really remember. Obviously, it'll be even less choppy in September. But this is where there's trout and all kinds of fishing up here. Here's another overshot video of that area. Here's the Middle Proposia River. Here's the Sink and the Rise. One thing I want you to take note of here is Boulder Choke Cave. Right where I showed you that the sink can overflow, and I told you that the river goes around it. Right over here, at the right behind the entrance to the sink, there's something called the Boulder Choke Cave, and it's actually a cave that you can go down in there, and it goes actually really deep. And they used to take people on tours down there. So technically, you can go under the ground and see what it looks like way inside and below the sink, even. One of the things that Donna told me back when she was looking here is if you do some research on this Boulder Choke Cave, if you talk to the older locals here, they believe that, oh, what was his name? Oh my God. The outlaw from, I don't remember his name now. He was the one who died supposedly in South America, in Brazil. The locals will tell you that he actually came back up here and he died in Lander. I don't remember. It was Butch Cassidy. I don't. Boy, it's really annoying. Anyway, I'm sure you know who I'm talking about. But the rumor was that they hid a lot of loot in this cave. And now, if you do people do search here, don't try to go in places like that. They're dangerous. And Forrest Fenn said it's not in a cave. Also, this area on this side of the river, a lot of this is private property up here. You can even see a house right near Bruce's Bridge on the opposite side. My partner knows the people that own that. It's all private. So he was actually able to go through that property anyway and look on the opposite side of the stream. He knows a lot of people. He also knows people that own a property here, people that own property up by the North Fork. So we even check places that it's you need permission to go, but we looked there anyway. I mean, an awful lot of time. I don't remember where my partner seen this. I think this was hiking on the way up to the area where a solve was, but I could be wrong. But it's just something that he's seen. And I'm hoping that it was along the middle fork of the Proposia. I can't say that for sure. I don't remember. But this was in the group of pictures from that. And like I said, I'm not talking to him right now, but I'm assuming that's where it came from. You remember how I showed you on the side of Louis Lake Road and I told you about the tree stumps? This is what you'll see when you'll drive by there. My partner took these pictures in 2017. But doesn't it remind you of the man standing with his foot on the trees? The trees and stuff that were harvested from here, some of them were probably used to build lander. It's very, very old. This is also kind of like a fen or a bog. You can see the water here. It's kind of like flooded there, right? But this really reminded, and I mean, he just sent that to me out of the blue. He goes, look what I drove past. And you compare this to the Axeman with the moon and the bird up there. Boy, it looks similar. I might have another picture of it too. Here's a close up of one of the trees that was in there knocked over with the water. There's another one standing back from the road. As you can see, it was all soaked in here. It's probably wet in here. So that might be another thing that he was talking about, cold. We actually had solves that were back along these trees. And, maybe you had to walk through it. Believe me, we were all over this place. We could have missed it. Who knows? At that time, and this is the whole reason why I did the in-depth analysis of the poem, I really didn't have the blaze figured out. I mean, I had an ending, and we had an ending spot, but no blaze. And that's why I went back to the poem. So maybe somebody can come up with a blaze for this. I don't know. Here's a picture of that teepee that my partner was walking by. Okay. Here's an actual picture up close of it, what it looks like inside there. Pretty cool. I don't know when it was made. I don't think it's ancient, but it could be. Who knows? 50, 100 years old. I really don't know. Maybe homeless people. I don't know. And that's if you go where the kids slide down the rocks, and then the point where I told you our chest was, you'll notice that there's like a hill between those two. This is on the south side of that hill. Just maybe, I don't know, 100 feet away from the Proposia River, pushed off to the side. So a lot of people never see this. But if you're hiking, you'll see it. But anyway, this is just a picture I asked him to grab when he was going by. We didn't think the treasure was there. We thought the treasure was along the Proposia River next to a rock that had a blaze on it. This is just another shot from above that I showed you already, I think. Hopefully. I don't know. But this is the Fremont County Youth Camp, and this is that kitchen. This is the first building that was there. The picture that I showed you with the red, with the door, my partner was standing like right here when he took that picture, somewhere around here. Okay, this is just, I'm pretty sure this is a sign where it splits off. If you want to go up to the waterfalls where the kids slide, You go left here. Otherwise, you keep going straight, you'll end up going all the way out to the wilderness along the middle fork of the Proposia River. This goes up to Circa Towers and all of that. But this is the way that Forrest would have went if he would have been hiding the chest where we thought it was. He would have been following this trail in this direction. He wouldn't be going up this trail. I think this is what the trail looks like that when you're going up to the falls. I can't say that for sure. But this is the kind of trail that you would have at that fork that I just showed you. This is that trail too that's leading you up to, I guess we're getting pretty close here. You get to the top where the kids would slide on the rocks. This is that same trail again. I guess this is looking down from a high point there uh, where the kid, there's all the rocks are like back here and up here that the kids would slide on. This is the one, and you can probably find videos on YouTube of kids sliding down here. This is the actual slide that they would. I remember how Forrest talked about in the book where he would slide and he knew the trick and his pants were brown. This was what we were thinking about. We were thinking of that. Okay. Up here, this is the middle Proposia. And like I said, this is roughly the beginning of August. As time goes on in the summer, this slows down and more. I guess it gets really slow. And then, in the winter, of course, it's extremely slow. Okay, I want to show you another picture. I don't know who these people are. This was on the internet. But basically, this is the sink. This is the entrance where the water comes. When this river is running high, if you look on YouTube, you can't even see any of this. The water literally is way up here. I mean, this whole thing completely floods out. And this picture was probably taken August, definitely in the summer, obviously. And one of the locals that lives there, the same guy that I told you about before that was in the military, not Bob, but the guy who lives there, uh, that was talking about Toby, he said that in Indian lore, they consider this the devil's mouth. And this part here is called the devil's tongue. And if you look at it, it's kind of like tonsils, right? Now, he was telling me that he thought the treasure chest was under the tongue, literally, under the water here. And what he explained to me, I'll see if I can find a picture of it. But anyway, you can come down here to this beach. If you go to the left over here and go up, that's where the cave entrance is to go down inside this same place of where the water's going. I mean, it's a huge, huge cavern down there. Okay, here we go. This is probably again in the summertime. So as you can see, you can walk across these rocks. People do it all the time. There's not really any danger here. They come across here. The only time you'd have danger is if you slipped and hit your head on a rock, or you went down here and somehow you got into the cave. I don't think. But anyway, this is that tongue or the tonsil, I'm calling it, that hangs down in the middle of there. According to that guy, if you look at pictures when the water is running lower than this, you'll see that there's a slab here and there's rocks around the slab and the water is moving into the mouth, right? He said that if you reach down on the backside of that slab about a half a foot into the water, there's a shelf there. And anything that you would put on there is surrounded by rocks. Okay. A big rock in the front. So no water and a rock in the back. There's no way that it would be pushed out of here. And he was saying that the treasure chest was in there below the water. Now, we actually went there and checked because we figured, what the heck? I mean, we are already there looking at different places. We might as well check there when that guy said it. Who knows? Maybe it was under the water. Since then, of course, we learned that it was not under the water, but it was funny because my partner actually went there, and I'm going to black out the picture of his daughter because she was out there on standing on this thing. She's up here. You can see how big this thing is, right? So she came in from this side. As you can see, everything is all frozen. They actually went there in the winter. And my partner, not his daughter, but my partner actually went here. And on the opposite side, you can't see it from this side, but that shelf is there. My partner went there with a pick and he busted through the ice and actually looked with a camera under the water. And no, there is no chest there. I mean, I honestly didn't think that, but I figured, what the heck? It's not hard to do. My partner was willing to do it. So he went out there in the middle of the winter, went on the ice, busted through the ice, looked through underneath, and there's nothing there. As you can see, this thing still runs, but it's so low, it doesn't have any strength. But you can see an entire tree shoved in here. That's how big this thing is. And imagine it completely flooding. That's how powerful these rivers get in the Rocky Mountains. So when you go there, be really, really careful. So anyway, I hope you guys appreciate this. Again, this is mainly put out there for Bob, but Bob, who owes me a beer. Anyway, I hope somebody finds this interesting, and definitely, like I said, I'm going to link to the actual flight video that I made below. I really want you to watch that. But this details the solve. This is what Bob was interested in. So if you guys like these videos and want to see more, please click like, please subscribe. I really appreciate it. And before I go, I just wanted to show one more picture. This is a box that Forrest Fenn gave to Jenny. It's called a medicine. What do you say? A medicine bundle, which is interesting. Jenny, everything in this medicine bundle is from my San Lazaro Pueblo. Each item was either man-made, man-used, or man-eaten. Everything is prehistoric and dug by me, Forrest. I actually won something that was in this box that Jenny gave me. She sent it to me. It was all wrapped up in bubble wrap, and she made a photocopy of this, and then she signed it, saying, so I have kind of a proof that this came from Forrest Fenn. That was pretty cool. So I actually have a piece of a medicine bundle made by Forrest Fenn, and I like that. I mean, that makes me think even more about the medicine wheel. But anyhow, it's pretty cool. I was debating whether or not I want to sell the piece that I got from here, but I honestly don't know. I mean, to be honest with you, it's not worth that much. It's 900 years old, whatever. When they had teeth marks in it and stuff like that. So it was dug up from San Lazaro by Forrest Fenn. So I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do with it, but it's one of the really cool things that I have from the chase. Uh, so anyway, when Jenny sent it to me, she goes, I know how much you're into the search, and I hope this brings you good luck. So that was back at the same time when she opened up the forum and I was posting there and everything like that in 2017. And you all know that story. So anyway, everybody, have a good day. Have a great week. Peace.